How to find a research gap. In this presentation, we will discuss how to identify a research gap, which is one of the most important steps in developing a strong research proposal. We will explore different types of research gaps, methods for finding them, common mistakes to avoid, and practical strategies for building a convincing justification for your study. What is a research gap? A research gap refers to an area, question, relationship, population, or context that has not been adequately addressed by existing studies. It is not simply a topic that nobody has studied before. Identifying a genuine research gap is important because it demonstrates how your study can contribute new knowledge and advance understanding in the field. 6 types of research gaps. Research gaps can take several forms. Understanding these different categories helps researchers clearly define where their study fits within the existing literature. The 6 major types include theoretical, methodological, contextual, population, empirical, and contradictory gaps. Theoretical and methodological gaps. A theoretical gap exists when an established theory has not been sufficiently applied to a particular setting or phenomenon. A methodological gap occurs when researchers rely heavily on one research method, creating opportunities to gain new insights using alternative approaches such as qualitative or mixed method research. Contextual and population gaps. A contextual gap occurs when research findings have only been tested in specific environments, countries, or industries and have not been explored in other settings. A population gap exists when certain groups of people are underrepresented in the literature. Studying these overlooked contexts or populations can provide valuable new perspectives. Empirical and contradictory gaps. An empirical gap exists when a theoretically important relationship has not yet been tested with actual data. A contradictory gap occurs when different studies produce conflicting findings. Researchers can help resolve these inconsistencies by conducting further investigations and examining additional factors that may influence the results. How to find a gap. One of the best ways to identify research gaps is by carefully reviewing recent journal articles. Researchers should pay special attention to future research recommendations, limitation sections, and systematic review papers. These sources often highlight unanswered questions in areas requiring further investigation. Compare studies and ask questions. Finding a research gap requires more than reading individual studies. Researchers must compare multiple articles and identify patterns. Important questions include: what has already been studied? What has not been studied? And what remains unclear or controversial? These questions help reveal meaningful opportunities for new research. Real-world example. This example demonstrates how a strong research gap can combine multiple gap types. Existing studies focus mainly on corporate employees and survey methods, while university staff in developing countries receive limited attention. By highlighting these omissions, the researcher creates a well-supported and meaningful justification for further study. Identifying a meaningful gap. Not every gap is worth studying. A meaningful research gap should be supported by literature, feasible to investigate, and relevant to both scholars and practitioners. Researchers should ensure that their proposed study addresses an important issue that can realistically be examined within available resources. Common mistakes to avoid. Researchers should avoid claiming that no studies exist without conducting a thorough literature review. They should also avoid confusing a popular topic with a genuine research gap. Strong research proposals are based on evidence, careful analysis, and realistic claims about what remains unknown. Key takeaways. To conclude, identifying a research gap requires critical reading, systematic comparison of studies, and careful evaluation of existing evidence. Researchers should clearly define the type of gap they are addressing and support every claim with literature. A well-defined research gap provides the foundation for a strong and impactful research study.